you remember, you and I, Salisha, we live our lives in particular identities and in particular bodies. So our experience is constant, but also you can see what the dominant experience is, like to the point that you're making. So what you see, if you just look back, is like you can see us living our lives on this constant line. And then you see this like, oh, glare of attention. Hello, shining on you for a while. And then you feel it, right? And then that glare of attention goes away because everyone is bored and they're tired and all of these things.
Hey, Nana, thank you for coming and welcome to Coffee Break Culture Change Conversations. I'm so excited for you to be here because you've got such an incredible story, and I would love you to introduce yourself so the audience know who you are and what you do and what you're about.
Thanks, Alicia. It's really lovely to be here, and thanks for asking me to come on. I'm delighted to be having this chat with you. So to the audience, my name is Nana Bempah. I'm one of the founders and the CEO of an organization called Pocc. That's People of Culture Collective. We came together in 2018 as a community, and we now exist in two parts. One half of us is a creative studio producing work for some of the world's biggest brands. And the other half is a non-profit called Pocc, and we run the community and all our community initiatives out of that arm of the organization.
Fab. Obviously, we know each other because we've worked together for a few years now. Well, no one else knows that, just us. I really wanted to ask you about your founder story because do you remember, right, when we were at the HQ of Oxfam and you told your founder story, and I was like, wow, because I'd heard Kevin's version, but I'd never heard yours in person. And I would love you to tell your founder story, please.
Yeah, for sure. You know, it's so interesting because our founder stories will be very different because we come from different spaces and places in so many ways, but similar also in so many ways. But yeah, I think it's really beautiful how our stories kind of come together and create this wonderful thing. Anyway, so for those who don't know, I don't even know if you know. No, you must know. I used to be a producer.
I know. Yeah.
I sometimes still call myself producer, although I haven't produced anything for probably over 5 years. But yeah, working in production, in working in advertising on the whole is a challenging thing to do if you are not a white male. And that is just what that is, you know. And I have been in the industry for some time, just doing my thing, as a lot of us do as Black women, as people who don't live within the body or identity that we could term default, read white male. You just do what you do. You have your goals and you have what you're heading towards, and that's what you focus on. And that's what I was doing. But all the while, it was it was a really, really difficult space and place to be in. I don't want to dwell on those things because I like to surround myself in positivity, but it was a challenging time, you know, because you would encounter so many things that existed on a basic level. Basic racism is what I will call it. You would experience subtle things. You would experience structural things. And all the while, you're supposed to be there doing your best, managing all of the politics and all of the things that are going on. So for years, I was in this industry working in different spaces and places. And I wanted to, I had it in my head that I wanted to be able to bring together Black and brown people who were also working in a similar industry, just so that we could share experiences and help and support one another. Kevin and I met at an agency, and his background was different to mine in the sense that he was out there doing loads of interesting creative things with lots of interesting creative people. And also, well, you'll know because you spoke with him, he was one of the individuals, I would say, that the industry on a structural level extracts value out of the culture and creativity of people like Kevin when he is sitting outside of the industry doing what he's doing. They extract that and they create value and they make money from that. For Kevin, I think he understood fully what was going on and was like, I need to be like, I'm not going to sit out here and have these MFs steal whatever it is that they're stealing. So let me go inside these places and figure out like what's going on in here. So anyway, we met. He joined the team that I was heading up at the time, and he just wanted to get in and see what it was all about. And it was a breath of fresh air. And it wasn't that I had lots of people within the department that I'd hired. And this is like the joke of the thing. Like people used to come in and be like, it's like the UN in here. Because like people were shocked that there would be, you know, Black people, Asian people, Filipino, like lots of different people within my department. And the rest of the agency would just be white, you know? So yeah, he came in and we just had very different approaches to how to get through those challenges that existed. And once meeting him, we discussed the things that we wanted to do in terms of creating this space, and just thinking of all of the challenges that I had within that environment, but also more broadly as a Black woman within advertising, to be able to use that experience to create this space. It was just a really beautiful thing. So like everything that that starts as a small thing and grows these days, we started a WhatsApp group, and that WhatsApp group it got full like really, really quickly. And yeah, we were really, really surprised that there were so many other Black and brown people who were feeling similarly to how we were within the industry. So not long, then we had our first meetup, and it was put together like a community event. And I say that in the sense, like my parents, they came over here in the 70s and they were all about community. All they knew was community. All they could do to survive was community. So I went and found a location. I said to my mum actually, there's a group, a community group. She was like, oh, okay. Like really familiar to her. And she was like, oh, okay. So, and I was like, we're meeting up. She's like, oh, what are you doing? And I was like, oh, I found this location. She was like, oh, okay. So, who's doing the food? I was like, what? And she was like, you can't invite all these people to a place and they
Not
can't
Black
eat
people.
food. I was like, oh yeah, of course. So then she actually called my auntie, and I was like, oh, auntie, this is my auntie who does the best jollof rice. I was like, auntie, I need some food for this event. And auntie just came through. She didn't ask like, what are the costs? Like she didn't say these are the costs of, whatever it was. It was just really pulled together with just with love. And it was such a beautiful event. I remember people like, they just took their hats off and they just passed around the thing. so that we could give my artist some money. But there was no guarantee, you know, like how
Yeah.
there's no guarantee of the thing. And yeah, we just raised a bit of money that way, and you know, just covered the bare minimum kind of that needs to be covered. And that's really how the organization was born.
That's so amazing to go from something so small, right? And very earnest, you know, to go from this really community focused thing into being an agency, you know, which is probably not the route a lot of people take, that you just had this kind of like natural progression. And I wanted to talk about community a bit more, because community is something that I think we've seen grown amongst big brands, right? They're all like, let's have a community. And in some ways you started off, well, you started off as a community and then turned into an organization. So you've done it the other way around. And I wanted to know what you think, what Pocc did so well in building a community that you were then able then to make a profitable business out of that.
So it's funny, like, where you say the thing, because Kevin, when you speak to him, he will always call us the blueprint. Because he'll be like so many other things got born and were started.
Which ones? I know a few. Huh?
So, like, if you speak to, there's a lovely woman called Chloe, who runs an organization called It Takes a Village for Black women. And
oh, yes. Yeah.
Working towards making sure that I think her figure is like 28% of Black women, 28% of people within the advertising industry are Black women. She's got like some huge ambitions. It's probably not 28%. I think it's by 2028. I don't know what the percentage is, but she's working. And, you know, so many people who started off within the organization have gone on to then, you know, build things like Chloe has. And I think like it's really interesting in the sense of people having businesses or having like whatever that business idea is, and then starting the community, as opposed to like starting the community. Like there is a truth to community, I think, that I will genuinely say that I learned from my parents and the communities that they run, and they still run. Like whenever I go to visit them, it will always be like this association, that Ghanaian association of this church parish or whatever it is here and there. And these communities do not run in a way where they're like, oh yeah, and then, you know, we do a business. They're like true community organizations. The evolution of Pocc is very much that we were a community to help and support one another. People were very, very excited. And when I say people, I mean brands and agencies. This is back in 2018. What are you doing? What's going on? Like the way my phone, and, you know, I'm someone who at that time anyway, before I had my daughter, was out and about in these streets. I had a lot of meetings, had a lot of conversations. And people were just like, what's going on? We want to get involved and blah, blah, blah. And we were like, we created this space to get away from you.
And now you want to come in.
So it was very much about us protecting ourselves. But if we were going to engage, it was about us engaging on our own terms, you know? So what we did very, very at the start, we were meeting up, we were helping into supporting each other in this WhatsApp group, but also because we were within the creative industries, we had talent and skills to be able to do campaigns. And that's what happened. Like the first campaign that we did, which was called Generations of Greatness, was a campaign which literally just spoke to the greatness of our ancestors and how our everything that we're doing today really is a result of the fight, the experiences that they had when they came to this country. That came first. It was literally, that was a volunteer-led project. There was, producers, art directors, photographers, there was events around it, like all of that. It wasn't something that was planned in that way to be a commercial thing. And that was never a commercial project. That campaign, which was a photography campaign and a copy campaign, got picked up by an organization called Clear Channel, who have billboards all around the UK. And then it went all around the UK. And that was amazing for us to be able to start as a community group and end up having this campaign that's on nationwide billboards. Like, insane. But like all things, you need to be able to run these societies, like my parents do also run their societies. Like, you need an income, because it doesn't make for a sustainable organization to have be purely based on volunteers. So after we did that campaign with Clear Channel, we had a structure in place to be able to be like, well, we can make this work on our own terms. So we started to engage with different brands, agencies, organizations on our own terms, and started producing different campaigns, films, strategy, lots of different things for these organizations. And that was an amazing way in which we could not only bring income into the organization to help to fund the things we were doing. It got Black and brown creators paid properly, as they should be paid. It got people working on projects for very big brands. And also it gave us the opportunity to be able to influence those brands in a very specific way.
You go right into my next question. I love it.
Influence them in a way in which we wouldn't have ordinarily been able to as individuals within different creative organizations and agencies. So to answer your question, it was born from the genuine beauty of community, the genuine beauty of people coming together to help and support one another, and turning that into something, an organization that was sustainable, that was able to help and support not just the creative community that was part of Pocc itself, but also the wider Black and brown community in the UK and beyond, actually, because we in
Amsterdam, some US clients as well, etc. What I wanted to thank you, Nana. What I wanted to ask you was around what you think Black and brown agency uniquely brings to these types of projects, within large companies, organizations, brands. What did we uniquely bring when we came in as Pocc? And most of the time we were often the only Black agency pitching for stuff, and we would win these things. What did we bring?
So we brought a realness. We brought realness to the briefs that we would approach. And I say that from a space where what a lot of agencies and a lot of brands started doing post 2020 is going, we need to hire Black people, we need to hire brown people. I'm not saying that that is right or it's wrong. I have my thoughts, but that's another question. What we are able to offer is not only the fact that we bring lived experience and nuance to that lived experience, but also, and people will not know this unless you have worked in such an environment, the very fact of working alongside a team of Black and brown people where you can express particular things and have people automatically understand what those things are, and the beauty that comes from those internal conversations, from knowing that people have your back, knowing that we're not setting out to pander to clients, and knowing that we are always going to have integrity in everything that we are doing. Like, you just can't you can't put a value on that. You just can't put a value on that. So it's not just down to the output that you're making, which is going on these huge brand platforms and getting out into the world at large. It's about the impact that you're having on the teams that you are working with, because I had, and I'd be pretty sure to say a lot of other people have not been able to, within these environments, experience a fully Black or brown team who understand automatically what you are experiencing. So you're also just having a different type of experience than you would at another agency or in another brand. And also, you are influencing the teams within whichever brand or company or client that you're working with. So we've come away many, many times with clients really knowing and understanding things that they never did before, because they had the opportunity to work in such close proximity to a creative team that predominantly existed of Black and brown creatives. All of these things, these multifaceted things, are beautiful individually, but together they create magic.
You know what? I saw something on either Instagram or TikTok the other day, and it was very, very poignant, actually, because a man asked a woman, you know, what makes her feel so secure that she can talk about and understand the male existence, right? When it comes to how it impacts women's existence. And she said, it's the same. It was a Black guy asking a white woman. And she said, well, it's the same way that you as a Black person can talk about whiteness as a power structure and how it impacts you as a Black person, because you have a much wider perspective of what's going on, right? Than what we do sitting in it. And I think that's the power of also having Black and brown creatives, is that we can navigate those spaces so well because we understand everything that's going on, but also additionally, we bring the Black and brown experience. So you get to tick all those boxes. I want to wrap up with the most interesting question for you, right? Because this has stayed with me. So everybody I'm interviewing has said something that I'm like, I remember they said this thing. And one was your founder story, and the other was when I can't remember where we were, but you were talking about white supremacy, right? And how and I'd never heard anybody talk about it like this. And I really think it's important for other people to hear. And I don't want to bastardize it because I think I might get it wrong, but it's something along these lines, and then you can correct me. You said that white supremacy involves so much that actually by the time that we're ready to try and tackle it, it's kind of moved on to something else. Please explain that. And did I get that right?
Yeah. No, absolutely. I think this is the thing, right? With any of these structural systems that dominate our times, they're so deeply entrenched and they're smart, you know? They're really, really smart. That's how they're able to endure for so long. And what I meant when it came to white supremacy is that it shapeshifts. If you look historically at what white supremacy has done, although white supremacy was not a term as far as I'm going back, the dominance of whiteness and patriarchy, there's been constant moments where there have been uprisings and people have fought against the thing. And every time that happens, there's an amelioration of conditions. So if you look back in the era in which Black people were enslaved, you'll see the transition into anti-slavery and the abolition of slavery. But then you will see that different devices are born out of that time, which then replicates the same inequality. So we're essentially going through time and time and time again. It's the same when, if you look at the liberation of not just African nations, but many nations around the world from European colonialism, and devices were put into place where neo-colonialist structures then dominated, meaning that those countries have always stayed in a place of deprivation, but it's made to look like it's something else. So in that sense, it's always a step behind. It seems like it's liberation at that point in time. And it is in particular ways, but new shackles are being put on. So one thing I would speak to is the, what should we call it? Black Square Summer.
Oh, yeah. Oh, God. Yeah. Yeah.
Excuse me, Black Square Summer of 2020. And thinking about how for that period of time, and you remember, you and I, Salisha, we live our lives in particular identities and in particular bodies. So our experience is constant, but also you can see what the dominant experience is, like to the point that you're making. So what you see, if you just look back, is like, you can see us living our lives on this constant line. And then you see this like, oh, glare of attention. Hello. Shining on you for a while. And then you feel it, right? And then that glare of attention goes away because everyone is bored and they're tired and all of these things.
And it's draining. It's draining as well.
Yeah, this is it. And then you feel that as well. When you look at the things that have been done since 2020, I'm not saying that that it can't be the case that everything that has been done because of 2020 is disingenuous. Like, some things will be positive, good things in some way, shapes and forms. But what tends to happen in these moments, and what I have seen, is a shift from, at the time, wanting to do something good and positive, to ensuring that whatever it was is something that builds the brand or builds the reputation of the organization and the people who already had the power. So in that sense, they are extracting the thing that is of value of that moment, not in order to help the people who are at the root of that inequality, but really to help themselves. And for me, and I did a lot of my dissertation on this, around how these systems Like they replicate and they replicate and they replicate. And if you were to, and I obviously cannot say this empirically because I have not done the study, right? But look, if you were to look back on initiatives of 2020 and look at a study of who has benefited most economically from all of these initiatives, I can bet you anything that those organizations, those companies, those individuals, the system entrenched in white supremacy is the one that has come up on top.
Oh, Nana. Oh, God.
Depressing.
It's depressing. Yes. I mean, we got to speak the truth here. We've got to speak the truth, you know? I mean, because of the nature of the work that we do and how involved we are in the intricacies of this, is that none of this is surprising to me. You know, but I'm surprised I'm surprised about the size of the problem, you know, and how difficult it is to find a solution. I think that's the thing, is that that's where we're getting, you know, kind of stuck, is that what is the solution to this problem that persists, you know? Because I think that we've tried a lot of stuff and it's not working because we're not having honest conversations and we're not willing to address what things really are. And it's because it makes people uncomfortable. But that is really what it is.
I feel like in order to overcome something, you have to know what it is and how it's working. If you do not know, if you are confused on the thing, if you have got it twisted, if you think that it's something that's not, then you're never going to overcome the thing. That's number one. I think that there is reticence is not even the word. There's an active rejection of people wanting to know genuinely what it is, because being real, like, it affects people's lives. Like, it affects, like, you know, the house they live in, the food they eat, the car they drive, like their holidays, you know, all of
they get to go on holiday, the life expectancy, the quality of life, like everything about our lives is impacted by white supremacy.
And
that's a huge responsibility to hold. So I can understand why people are like, I don't want this responsibility, but it is what it is.
No, 100%. And also, Celicia, a conversation, I don't even know. And when I say we, I don't mean you and I, but I mean we, like the collective we, a conversation that I don't think we are ready for is around the position of Black and brown people within that structure of white supremacy. And when I say that, I mean the actual way in which, if you live within Western society, you can both at the same time, as a Black and brown individual, be a victim of white supremacy and also a beneficiary because of how it works.
Absolutely. And we could do this. We're going to have to do another conversation, because I think
I know you're like, last question.
We have to do that, because I want to talk about that, because I think it's about a spectrum of privilege that we all have. But I think that's a topic itself, personally, you know, is that there's so much to unpick and you have so much knowledge that let's do that again. Let's do it again. And we'll talk just about that, what the mechanisms of white supremacy, and how, I think what a lot of people don't understand, like you said, how we're all part of it, is that if it's something that we all have to be part of dismantling. You know, some of us have bigger jobs in dismantling it. Some of us have smaller jobs. But it's
100%.
But everybody's got to take the house down. Oh, Nana, I wish we had more time.
I know.
But we'll do another one, right? We'll do another one.
Children must not wait.
But kids can't wait. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. And I definitely want to get another time in for us to chat about more stuff with you.
Yeah, 100%. It's lovely to see you, Salisha, as always.
Thank you.
Take care and we'll chat soon.
Ciao.